Welcome back to Feisty Fridays. I am at home, hanging out, feeling a little casual. Want to start this Feisty Fridays with a question. A question that I obviously am always asking myself. I never ask you anything that I don't ask myself. But what if the thing that made you successful is now the very same thing that's holding you back? It's an uncomfortable question. It's uncomfortable because, quite frankly, it means for some of us, things we've spent years trying to cultivate and to build a reputation around is, beginning to potentially impede upon our continued success. For me, it's competence. I always wanted to be out competent, out competenting. I don't even think that's a word. But essentially, I wanted to be the most competent person in the room. I felt like that, first of all, if it was achievable on my end, I wanted it. And second of all, I just felt like that was the way to make myself indispensable. And I felt like I was one of the people that always got the call when things went sideways. I always had maybe not the answer, but I had good answers. I was a problem solver. And probably best of all for me, I could deliver. And I did that really well and quite successfully for most of my career. All of that's amazing. And for a long time for me, that's exactly what I also got rewarded for. It became a reputation, and then I got positive affirmation for that, and it made people want to work with me. And as I grew in my leadership opportunities, I had more leadership, I was the boss, or I had more authority. Nobody ever told me that the rules actually change when you get the authority. And I'm not sure if you even know this. What gets you those authority moments, those like big titles, the ones that you're just like, one day I'll be an X. And then when you get the X, you assume that everything that got you there is still valuable. The problem is, you think when you have the authority that your job is still to be the smartest person in the room. But what I have had to learn the hard way is that it isn't. The job changes dramatically because once you have the authority, your job is to build a room where lots of other people can bring their best and most competent selves. And that's a completely different game. And for those of us who used our competency to get us the authority, we can F it up big time. And I see it all the time because the leader who now has the authority says that they want their team to step up, right? But every time someone on the team struggles, what does the leader do? They jump in. They save those individuals. Every single decision at the team level gets filtered through the leader, the person who has the authority, and every difficult decision and conversation and problem lands on your leadership desk. And it becomes your problem to solve. You and your competence continues to be what holds everything together. On the outside, it looks like everybody's committed and it looks like you're doing a great job. But underneath that, for me, I'll tell you what it was for me. Underneath that, it was my identity. My identity was in crisis because I had spent so many years being valued for my competence. And that when I got to the position of authority, I realized that if I'm always the expert, I'm always the one that's going to have all the work. And here's the irony. The irony is the more indispensable you become as a leader, the less you are actually leading. That's right. The more competency you provide, the less leadership you are giving. You end up creating dependence, dependence on you, dependence on your thinking, your decision making. And I know for some of you that may sound harsh, but let me encourage you to ask yourself this question. If you disappeared right now for 3 weeks, I won not 2, 3 weeks, would your team keep moving? If you disappeared for 3 weeks, would they still be able to move the mission forward, or would everything grind to a halt? Because if your answer is the second one, that's not a compliment. You as a leader don't get to go, oh, it's because I'm so integral. No, it's a warning sign. Take the warning. Leadership isn't measured by how many problems you solved. It's measured by how many problems, hear this, how many problems your team can solve without you. That's leadership. And it means letting people wrestle with ambiguity. It means letting those same people make mistakes. And it means letting those very same people arrive at conclusions that might not be exactly how you would have done it. I know that's uncomfortable. It certainly is for me, because I fought so hard to be the most competent person in the room. So, of course, it feels like a loss. And especially if your identity has become wrapped up in being the capable one, this is really going to be hard for you to grasp. But here's the important shift, the shift that I have had to make and I have to continue to make. Competence. Competence will always get you promoted. But leadership asks you to stop performing competence and start multiplying competence, magnifying competence in others. And those are not the same thing. Your competency is no longer your greatest asset. So this week, even though this may feel a little harsh, I want to leave you with this final thought question. Where are you still proving your competence when your team actually needs you to just build theirs? Because the goal, my friend, is not to become indispensable. The goal is to build people who no longer need you. That's what true leadership looks like. It's tough to do, but it's worth it, because being a magnifier means you're a true leader on the inside, and your ego is not attached to what you can bring to the room. You and your success can be measured exponentially by how many individuals you have amplified. See you next week.